Friday on FS1.
Doug Gottlieb, Joy Taylor in for Colin Cowherd. This is The Herd. Thanks so much for making us part of your Friday. Matt Barnes continues to join us. Play for the Clippers, the Warriors, the Lakers, and, of course, the Kings. Does kind of feel like we know how this ends for the Kings, right? Like, it does. It's like, if there was anyone else in chase of the Kings in the playoffs, you'd be like, all right, Kings got a shot. Then you see the Lakers, you're like, man. And, of course, the Kings fans are forever upset over the officiating. More Game 6 than Game 7, although I thought Game 5 was pro-Kings. Right. Yeah. And then in Game 7, Page's famous series, Paige Stojakovic shot an air ball at the end of regulation. They lose in overtime. You know, it's like one of these, like, let me guess, James Bond is going to end up beating the bad guy and getting the girl. Like, I know how this movie ends. But Scott Foster was officiating that game last night. And after the game, James Harden laid into him a little bit. Chris Paul's like, hey, what do you want us to do? You played in the league. You were a guy that would get into it sometimes with officials, sometimes with other players. You could be an antagonizer. What's your opinion of Scott Foster?
Terrible. You know, and it's a known thing. You know, I think I heard the stat this morning about the poll I didn't even know about in 2016, but it's a known situation. And, you know, like we touched on in the show previous, it may not be so much on the actual calls. Some here, you know, guys mess up on calls, but it's his arrogance. It's the way he carries himself. It's the way he looks down upon people like he's better. And he acts like these people pay a bunch of money to come see him. It's not about him. A sign of a good ref is to know he's not there. Scott Foster's someone that takes everything personal. You can't talk to him. And it's truly, like I said, the numbers don't lie. You know, the games he refs and the teams that lose. And then, you know, I saw a story this morning about the number of calls he had with Donaghy, you know, back before the Boston-Miami series. So, you know, to me, if he was a part of that, who knows? But he's a known bad ref or carries himself in a hard to manage way, and it's rubbing players the wrong way. And I definitely think the NBA needs to take a look at it.
Are there guys that can maintain control of a series? Look, basketball is hard to officiate.
No question.
Okay, I mean, it's really, really hard because you don't want to call every foul,
right,
but you got to call the first foul because otherwise you get the other foul. Like, it's a hard deal to officiate. I have a lot of respect, but are there enough other guys that are strong enough willed to make the right call and yet respected enough by the league and respected enough by the players to make those hard calls?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of refs out there that do a great job. Like you hit on, refereeing is a tough situation. You know, 10 of the best athletes in the world, a high-paced game. It's hard to get everything right. So, you know, you're not expecting that. But with those refs that do make the tough calls or missed calls, you have to be able to talk to them, you know, especially superstars. But people, you know, of myself who played a long time and, you know, a veteran and that speak for a team sometimes, you have to at least hear these guys out. And in the heat of the moment, you know, tempers are up, you know, emotions are up. But Scott Foster is someone who's always had a quick trigger on the tee, and it just, the way he carries himself just disgusts me. And these guys are completely right about, you know, what's warranted and the way he conducts himself on the court.
Guys, we can't have Matt on anymore. We can't draw an opinion out of him. This is really difficult. Matt Barnes joining us.
No, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, so give me your...
They can't find me. You know what I mean? Chris and James Hope might get fined today, but they can't find me. And I speak for a lot of the players when I say this about him.
Look, I have an immense amount of respect for you because you're a guy that continued to find ways to make it in the league.
Right.
So I didn't play in the league, but this is in no way a shot at the none and dones, which is coming again, or the one and dones. I just take it from Steve Kerr. He wrote an article back when he was broadcasting. Hey, look, I've been a player. Now he's a coach. He was a general manager, and he felt like it's bad for the sport to have guys come straight out of high school because they have to learn how to play.
Right.
They have to learn how to grow up, how to handle themselves. And college, it has its flaws, but you do grow up. You do learn to manage whatever budget you get based upon your scholarship check. You do have times which you have to go to work per se and go to practice, and then you got to balance your work-life balance. What's your opinion though of the rule? If you can come straight out of high school, is that good for the actual sport?
I think it's a catch-22 from the standpoint of it's such a business now. So for every LeBron James and Zion Williams, you're willing to throw away a handful of guys that aren't ready that are going to be drafted. You know, the Corleone Youngs and guys like that who, had a lot of hype and didn't pan out because they weren't ready. You know, there's a huge gap from a 17-year-old to even a 19-year-old, but even a 20-year-old. Your maturity, your understanding of life, your understanding of the game. So I see where you can water down the game, and a lot of these guys get a lot of bad advice. You know, there's 250 kids in every draft and only 60 spots, and some kids are leaving situations and leaving school early, and so you get a lot of bad advice. But like I said, for someone like Zion Williams, it's no coincidence the day after he gets hurt that we're talking about should the age limit be lowered.
But he's gotten better. Like, college has helped his game.
There's no
he's
question.
Learned how to play hard. He's gotten himself in better shape.
Right.
He's playing with better players, in which the thing I like most about him is this is how he's going to have to play early on in the NBA, where small ball five, starting power forward, but not a guy you go to every time down the court. I actually think this has really helped him. Every experience doesn't help everybody, but I think in Zion's case, could he have gone to the pros? Yeah, but he's improved his stock and improved his game.
I completely agree, and I'm one who loves to see. I'm not even really watching college basketball as much, but when he plays, it's must-watch TV.
Sure.
So it's definitely helped him. And like I said, if he doesn't blow a shoe out and get a non-contact injury, we're not even talking about this. No one's telling him if he continues to play the way he plays, well, maybe you shouldn't play in the NCAA tournament because you might get hurt. You know, the fact that he got hurt is the only reason why we're talking about this. But it's just a tough situation. You know, I heard what Chuck said last night on TNT about just going out there and playing. I completely agree with that, but it's such a business now. And the money that these kids are making are changing, you know, their lives, their families' lives, and their friends' lives. So you really have to approach it from a standpoint of, what's my best business decision and what is best for me. I'm hoping if there's no structural damage and he gets an opinion not only from the Duke doctor but an outside doctor, if he feels like he can come back and play, come back and play. You know, you get 1 year of college, go out there and do what you do, and then you're risking a lot, but you're risking a lot when you work out. You're risking a lot when you play 5-on-5 and pickup. You're risking a lot when you walk out of your house every day. You know, you're risking a lot, but at the end of the day, you have this 1 year of college. If you're healthy enough to play, I'd like to see him play.
I only got 30 seconds, so I'm sorry to shortchange you. Kyrie really didn't like the fact that a private conversation with him and KD in the hallway becomes public. Your private life has become public before. Is it fair the way we're covering Kyrie and KD, considering they are free agents this upcoming offseason?
It's not fair from a standpoint of everything you say or they're seeing you doing is going to get blown. You don't know what these guys are talking about. They could be talking about anything, but I think we live in a world where there's 24-hour news cycles now, so a story has to be made up. No one knows what they really said, but there's been 100 different allegations of what they said. So it's unfortunate, but it's the world we live in, and it's not going to change. So guys are just going to have to get used to it. Maybe start talking like baseball pitchers with your hand, but still they're going to make up.
LeBron thing, right?
Right. They're going to make up what you say still. So
all right, I gotta go.
Understand.
I gotta go, man. I gotta run. I do.